you've seen any of the videos going by the past few days, but I've been messing around with real pedals again, and it sort of reminded me of this situation. You're spending like a lot of time configuring stuff, messing around with Velcro, patch cables, all this sort of stuff, and then you think, I want to change out a drive pedal, and you think, right, I've got to do that again. And as good as these things can sound, you know, I was messing around with the Origin effect thing, I was messing around with the J-Rocket Univibe. I'm thinking, like, do I really want to spend my time on this? And it made me think again about the HX effects. Now, this solves kind of this aspect, and then you've got the additional issue of, right, well, now I need to get in here and use the menus and stuff. And then you also have like the nagging feeling in the back of your ear, like, does this actually sound as good as when I was messing around with these real pedals? I think that probably the realistic answer is certainly the drives, when you go through this kind of thing, you at least, I think, in your head think that they're definitely sounding better. I'm going to now spend some time with the amp and this while I wait for this video to kind of load back onto the computer, but I just wanted to share some thoughts on the HX effects and trying to work out whether this could actually solve that problem. Playing it with the Lone Star, like, I have to say, it's fine. I don't get exactly that same kind of feeling that I feel like if you plugged in a tube screamer with the Lone Star. I feel like the instinct is that it would be different. I think also there's the temptation that you build kind of more complicated stuff than you would with a real pedal board, probably, because each time you added a delay or each time you added a reverb on a real pedal board, that would take literal time and literal money. I need to try and remind myself, try and keep it a little bit more simple. Maybe even consider using the loop if you would put your effects and delays in the loop. Spend more time tweaking the drives, because there's plenty of drive pedals that I could plug into this Lone Star that I definitely wouldn't like the sound of. I'm pretty sure that I would like the sound of a real tube screamer into it. But also, it's not a total bunk to think that this will sound different, because there is no impedance circuit in here. So one of the things that happens when you activate a tube screamer, if you're plugging your guitar straight into it and into the amp, is that there's an impedance drop off, right? The HX effects doesn't actually model that. So necessarily drives are gonna sound brighter and potentially more brittle in the HX effects. So maybe an EQ in front might help us get closer to that thing if we're not quite there. And then I've got a Rochester comp here. So I don't know that you'd ever even be able to fool yourself that you're totally happy with that versus your drive pedals. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. I don't know whether there be reality to that or a mixture of perception and reality and all of that stuff, but I think it would realistically matter, right? Even if it is a bit of placebo, which I don't think it is entirely. This is quite a different experience to any of those things, purely because you're working with this like multiple screen view. It's a little bit strange for me, to be honest with you, but the things that I've mostly used the HX Effects for is putting together these kind of experimental and if you really break it down, even what I've just done there would be incredibly expensive on a normal pedal board. So we've got an EHX Freeze here, the polysustain. We've got some sort of tape style chorus, so maybe like a Strymon Deco or like a Chase Generation Lost type thing. Then we've got the tessellator, so you could mimic that with something like the Chase Bliss Mood maybe. And then we've got a plate reverb. So there's like one little board, and then kind of the beauty of this is you can just switch to other boards. Each really got kind of snapshot mode, I think, if I go. You know, so I can see there's like huge convenience advantages here, even if there aren't necessarily any sound advantages, although you'd have to say again, like it's not generally possible to make these kind of level of tweaks to your drives in the real world. And you'd be looking at potentially something like what, like a gig rig and some other bits and pieces. You'd need a couple of drives, maybe something like a Strymon Timeline on top of that could get you in this kind of ballpark. But for me, it's just, there's just so much potential here that I've not really explored even as much as I probably should have. I'm finding it difficult to get enthused about pedal boards so much when I've got so much potential here. The only thing is getting in there and editing stuff is, as you could imagine, not quite the same as having physical knobs to get down and tweak. This board, there's a Timmy, there's a Screamer 808, a tremolo, a tape delay and a plate reverb and a looper, you know, that. So I don't know, the slight downside with it is you're going to be spending your time, instead of actually building a physical board, building these kind of preset versions of the board, and I don't know if that's necessarily fulfilling the same kind of fun aspect or like collector aspect. Tonally as well, of course, especially drive pedals, I think you're going to think, I don't think anyone's ever going to go, yeah, that could totally replace all of my drive pedals if you're really specific about this stuff. But then what multi-effect ever does, you'd have to be realistic and say, well, if I had a real tube screamer next to this, I think most of the time I would pick the real tube screamer. But then you could have the convenience factor. I don't have to wire a board. This could also control an amp with the external output. You've got MIDI capabilities. You've got snapshots in there as well. I think it's something I need to explore a bit more, because there is plenty of compelling reasons that I think I would really enjoy this thing if I played it more, especially paired alongside something like the HX Stomp, where you've got these extra buttons really just making it possible to put like a pedal board in front of the HX Stomp. It's pretty powerful, and I think super cost effective when you think about what's potentially possible in there. Even if you had like one delay pedal, one reverb pedal, one modulation pedal, and you know a loop pedal, that would easily take you way over the price of the HX effects. And for the quality of stuff that you've got in here, I think it's a really good thing. I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.